Oh, yes. Welcome in to Snow The Goalie, which happens to be the only Flyers podcast. It's the People's Podcast, the Players Podcast, the Prognosticators Podcast, the Pedialyte Podcast. And this is the morning after as we recap your team, your town, your Philadelphia Flyers. Have they gone too far? Has the team that we finally said is better than we expected, have they finally hit the skids? Have they hit an oil slick? Did they experience an oil spill? A 5-2 loss to the Edmonton Oilers. I'm Russ Joy at Joy on Broad. Joined as always by the delightful Anthony SanFilippo in the middle at SanPhilly, and on the side, Bundy, Therien 6, who I believe just coughed, went off, and now he's back, and now he's frozen, and now he's not. Let's go to you, Ant. Let's go to you first. How you feeling this morning? It's the first time that we've seen you in the new year, and it's good to have you back. We didn't have you for the last morning after. Give people an update on your status here.
So I missed one episode, and we have a 30-second countdown now. This is new. It's a new.
I decided that I would just use it today.
Oh,
I use it on other shows. I thought about might make sense.
That's nice. I love these unilateral decisions that are probably made last minute. They're great. It's good stuff. I'm doing well. I feel a lot better. It was only just it was a few days, just kind of, not being able to move around, just kind of rooted to my comfy chair in my living room. And I'll tell you that I've been feeling better the last few days, and then all of a sudden, all the abdominal pains came back watching hockey last night. So that's kind of how it was. It was just kind of like a little relapse for the 2 hours of Flyers hockey on the tube last night. Look, you asked the question, Russ, and I think that, Bundy and I have been trying to be the voices of reason in this city when it comes to hockey, to let people know that, hey, what they were doing is great, but this was coming. Like this, you were going to get caught up to at some point. And it happened on this road trip especially, but it really started before that. They got away with one, beating the Devils just before Christmas. It was not a well played game, and they won it anyway. And then they won the game. They lost the game to Nashville, and that's when Torts was like, said, he answered my question. It said, "Yeah, this has been coming. We've been seeing this coming." And they went on the road trip, and I mean, look, you got 4 points on the road trip, so you can't completely complain about it. But it's just the time of year and how the game changes at this time of year, and you start to see the warts just a little bit more with this team now because of that, because of the other way other teams are going to play against them.
Bundy, how you feeling after that game last night?
Yeah, I'm not feeling great to begin with. I think I got whatever else, maybe bug going around it is. But I watched every one of those games late. And, they got taken apart last night by the league's best superstar when he's in full gear. And he was in full gear last night. I mean, there's not a lot anybody can do when guys get that kind of momentum and that kind of offensive flair to them. McDavid was unbelievable. They had a lot of guys play well. But, you got to remember when you go back to it, there was a team that we played early in the year, the Flyers, we were doing the game, and they were just awful in Philadelphia. So I always see like how teams go, but as Anthony just said, and as we've said through the most of the year, like, just be understanding of what this is. This is this has been, a blessing to, quite frankly, to have gone down to the building and seen good hockey this year. Because we're going back to the summer where the GM's saying we're in a rebuild, and the guys in this locker room will be the ones that decide what happens this year, how much work they're going to put in. But I don't want to totally say that the wheels have come fully off, but they're making mistakes in times in games now where they're getting hurt. They're not playing great in their own zone. When the goaltending was erasing a little bit of that before. It happened. I thought Hart played well at times last night, but he just didn't make the stops when they needed him. And again, that's when we last night where if I'm the coach and I go back and I'm like, man, we just got burned by a real high-end piece of talent, really bad. And I don't know how. I don't want to. I'm not telling people to jump anywhere right now. I think they need to see what happens coming home and then to make a judgment for yourself from then. This was a road trip that teams start to play after Christmas. We said that, Seattle's playing really well. I think they'd won 6 in a row now, even after the Winter Classic. Edmonton's been on fire. Calgary's desperate, home game on New Year's Eve. And the Flyers went into Vancouver, the team that's probably the best game for them to play, the one road game right after Christmas where Vancouver's kind of sitting there all, turkeyed up and everything. And they're at home and the Flyers fly out and just focus on hockey. So, I think that's what it was. But there is a certainly if the coaches are not going to look at it like, well, we've overachieved and it's been great. And if the wheels come off, well, at least we showed we can do it. That's not going to sit with Torts. He's going to continue to push, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with this team when this push comes, because I've watched enough of him now for 2 years and seen enough more over the last 20 years. It looked like his head was going to pop off last night, and quite frankly, it's looked like it's going to pop off for 3 or 4 days now. And it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow night if there's any lineup changes. But, Anthony, I know we're watching. From a detail-oriented coach like Torts that likes guys playing the right side of the puck, playing in their own zone, there's been a couple of guys that have been just not playing the way Torts wants them to play. Cam Atkinson, I see the name there all up and down the screen. I mean, Again, I say this in the spirit of fairness. What has he done to stay in the lineup? You're going to keep Morgan Frost, and if you're going to sit him for 9 or 10 games in the year when he was an available player, then let's be fair. That guy's not helping your lineup. He took a shot last night at a critical point in the game. I think it was a power play. He missed the net by like 4 feet.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, you can't have a guy that's supposed to be a skill guy, goes to the net and scores goals, that's doing that to you. But yes, McJesus, as you say right there, was amazing last night. And I'm not even sure what you can do with a guy just going off like that. Like he was on another level.
Yeah, I agree with you on Cam Atkinson there, Bundy. I think that, you got Noah Cates coming back, and somebody's going to have to come out of the lineup. And I'm not sure who it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be Morgan Frost, although he still hasn't done anything to really impress me. It's right now he's just a guy, right, on this roster. I think that it's going to be another young player, though. If I had to guess, I think it's going to be either Bobby Brink or even Forster, who hasn't played great lately, who might sit a game or sit a couple games. I think Cam gets a couple more games to try and figure it out, but he deserves to be the guy that comes out at this point. Just does. He's not played well. Not only did he miss the net there, Bundy, and he hasn't scored since early November, mid-November.
Yeah.
It's not even that. He takes the penalty that at the end of the second period that leads to the Edmonton go-ahead goal, which kind of takes away all the momentum. You just clawed back from down 2-0. And it was a lazy penalty. Now, obviously, it wasn't intentional. He wasn't trying to trip the players, more of a step on the skate blade kind of thing. But it was a lazy reach with the stick kind of penalty, as opposed to continuing to skate through the play. And that creates, and you cannot put that Edmonton Oilers team on the power play. As good as the Flyers penalty kill is, you can't put them on the power play. And I want to talk about that go-ahead goal, because I think one of the things that we love about the Flyers penalty kill this year actually bit them a little bit on that goal and costs them there. And that's, TK trying to make a play to poke the puck past the defenseman and get out on a breakaway and try and get an odd man rush and a shorthanded opportunity, which they're so good at. And he tries it there, doesn't work, and the puck comes right back. You have an odd man situation low in your zone, and boom, these guys are going to just make tic-tac-toe passes and gets in the back of the net. So that's something that I think you have to have a little bit more of an awareness of who you're playing against. And we love that aggression, don't change, but there has to be a point. You said we just fought back to get back into this game. Maybe this isn't the right opportunity against this team to try that. Not to take anything away from Konechny, because I think that's the way he plays and has been playing. I get it, and I don't want him to stop that, but I just think you have to know time and place, right? But yes, Atkinson's penalty sets that whole thing up, and it's like, so if you're taking bad penalties, and he's taken several bad penalties in recent games, and you're not scoring, and you're being paid to be a goal scorer, and you're down basically on a third line that is punishing players that aren't playing well, other than Ryan Poehling, who's kind of just like the third line center because he's okay at it. Noah Cates is going to be in that spot, I think, when he gets back. Look, what are you doing? Like, I mean, why keep him in the lineup? I think he's got to come out.
Bundy, I want to throw this to you
goes
because
against,
there's
goes against every single thing the coach preaches.
Yeah.
Everything. There's not like a single thing. And again, we say these things, we're looking at it like it's a puzzle, what pieces don't fit. Right now, he's a guy that just doesn't fit because he's not scoring. He's not particularly great in his own zone. And he's not at that point anymore where he's just going to dig in physically and try to make a play to get the puck out of the zone. So it was a weird game. The third goal, I got a brain cramp. Was that the Ryan Nugent-Hopkins goal on the 2-on-1 pass?
It was but McDavid comes, so he tried to get past the point.
Oh, Hyman. It was Hyman, right?
It's Hyman. It's Hyman. No, I think it was Nugent-Hopkins because I think Hyman throws it to McDavid, who's streaking in, and he just taps it over to Nugent-Hopkins on the side of the net.
Yeah.
For like a slam dunk goal. But it ends up being a 2-on-1 down low because Konechny took himself out of the play at the point. And everybody's trying to...
He went reaching too much too, Konechny. That's the kind of game like... So when Konechny, some people ask, like, well, what does he do when he goes sour? That last night was a classic Konechny game where he did some good things and he did some really bad things. Yeah. And that's the stuff where so people want to know what makes Tortorella crazy with a guy like TK when they ask and he makes comments in the paper. It's a game like that last night that the coach will go crazy watching number 11, especially number 11, because they expect more from him now. Like, he's been better. 89, probably, he's like, you know what? Like, it is what it is at this point. But he absolutely needs to. I mean, he's got to be better if he's in the lineup like that. Got to do something.
Bundy, I want to throw this to you really quick because you're our injury expert on the show. Sean O'Brien asks, Bundy, can it help a guy that's aged coming back from this extreme of an injury to get a couple of days rest and then see the game from a different vantage point, or is he more likely to get hurt? In the case of Atkinson.
Yeah, so depending, when you get when stuff like that happens and you get injuries that you've had in the past, but what happens, so there's two different kinds of recovery from it. You can either have the injury which will continue to nag and you're like, I can't do this. I need to keep, rehab on it. And it's just sore. Like, it's actually the part that's sore. And then if it's something else, what happens is that it doesn't feel sore, but it's also pulled you down. The injury's not made you the same player because it's you don't feel it, but there's something about the lingering injury that's just not allowing you to be the same version of yourself at one point. And that's the two parts with injuries that are what they are. Younger guys want to come back. They're hungrier. They want to get back in lineup. Older guys, sometimes when that happens, they want to get back in for the spirit of playing the game. But if your injuries have weighed you down and you're no longer valuable in a physical way on the ice, and that's when coaches have to make tough decisions. And they have to make these decisions all the time. Every team in the league has guys like that have either had success and are no longer, or they're struggling mightily coming back from injury. So I always say walk a mile in another man's shoes that's been injured, and then you tell me how that feels. But at the same time, if he is hurt or there is something lingering and he's playing the way he is, he shouldn't be in the lineup.
It's kind of I think it's a bummer if you look back on it, like the way that the season started with him. And we kind of touched on this the other day, Bundy, but like he started off so strong. And there was that question, I posed this way back when, that like, given how he was finding so much early success, it wasn't always the flashiest goal, but it was the good veteran savvy to just be in the right place at the right time. And there were the conversations about like, all right, if he really does continue at that pace, like through November, is he a potential trade deadline candidate for another team? And you started like kind of thinking about what does this thing look like going forward? The way that he's fallen off a cliff, I mean, you could make the argument that this is just kind of him regressing back to the mean because in fairness, nobody expected what he did early in the season out of him. But you're right. Like at some point, if it is a meritocracy here, like if you are going to continue to preach that like you've got to play the right way, you have to perform all that, he can't be in the lineup. You have to hope that maybe he comes out for a little bit, sees the game, gets his head back on straight, and then he goes back to being the veteran, leader they need on the ice and a guy who can produce points. But what he's been of late frankly just doesn't get it done. There were a few other things. We have a lot of people here weighing in the comments on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitter. But before we get to that, I want to talk about the thing that's up above this episode. And that, of course, is the Clearwater combo trip that we're going to be doing from March 7th to the 10th with Philly Sports Trips. You can head over to phillysportstrips.com/trips/Snow The Goalie. Or if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or listening in the podcast feed after the fact, you can click on the link and you can sign up there. We're going to be going down to Florida, where we're going to do a back-to-back trip. Phillies versus Astros spring training on Friday the 8th, followed by Flyers Lightning on Saturday the 9th. Torts is going to get recognized on that 20-year anniversary of the Lightning winning the Cup. Not that has a traumatic moment in anyone's mind. But we're going to be down there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Going to have a big party, big meet and greet. It's going to be a great time.
Well, wait a second. There is some trauma in that. You got to remember that Lightning team.
Ant, I know. That was sarcasm.
Oh, well, it didn't come across as sarcasm.
Okay. No, I remember that well.
Okay.
I remember what happened, Ant.
All right.
I was at my 8th grade dance.
Oh, so you mean you weren't watching the game then either?
Oh, there
it is. Can't go trading veteran defenseman at the deadline.
Yeah, it would have been nice if there was a number 6 to fill in instead of Sammy Kapanen.
I had one more run in me too, just one more run, and say, you know what? I need you to shut these guys down for one more series. I would have figured out a way to do it, even then. But you know what I always said? There's an old Confucius saying, man who trade 2 defensemen at deadline don't go to Stanley Cup final.
I don't know what the hell that accent was, but it sure wasn't Confucius. All right.
Did we derail your ad there?
No. But anyway, we're gonna have a lot of fun. Hope everybody, joins us. I will tell you that there are people who have asked about this, who don't live in the Philly market, who have asked us, like, is it possible to join the trip? Is there, do you buy a separate ticket? How does that whole thing work? There are 2 packages. If you go over to the site, over to Philly Sports Trips, there's the big package that it includes all of your airfare and everything with us from Philly down to Florida, includes all of your transfers to and from the airport and the hotel and all that. But there is a self-travel package, and the self-travel package doesn't include the airfare. So if you're coming from Texas, or you're coming from Tennessee, or you're coming from Finland, like some of our friends have talked about doing, you can do the self-serve. So that'll still get you, I believe, the hotel. That'll get you the tickets to the games. It just won't include your airfare. You're responsible for that part of it. But all things considered, it's still a great value. It's still going to be a ton of fun to spend time together down in Florida. So, Anthony, I just wanted to know. I know that you were planning on being down there anyway, but are you starting? I know you lost a lot of weight. Are you starting to feel like you're getting into bikini shape, Speedo shape?
Oh yeah, because
banana hammock shape.
Because there's a lot of time for me to spend on the beach when I'm over doing Phillies, right? Because they don't play during the day or anything down there. There's no beach time when you're doing baseball work.
Get up at 5 a.m., go out for a stroll.
A little stroll on the beach, maybe. But
Bundy said he's going to wear the Borat thing, though, right? With the 2 little straps and
Anthony's got a Flyers banana hammock.
No, that's intern Andrew's costume.
We're not putting intern Andrew in that. I draw the line there. I have no problem with intern Andrew dressing as the New Year's baby for the calendar, but not that.
Yeah, exactly. Bundy, I did have a question I wanted to ask you. That kind of relates to the Flyers, what they've been going through. So everybody always talks about this road trip every year being a disaster. And in all honesty, it is usually, right? I mean, you got the last 10 times they had this trip, they've only come away with more than 1 win twice. Last year, as a matter of fact, they went 3-0 on the Disney trip, and then the Disney on Ice trip. And then not since 2013-14. They were actually a 6-game road trip, and they went 5-1 on it that time. They've either only won 1 game or none on this trip every year. And it's like, well, this trip, they should not take this trip every year because this is terrible for them, blah, 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 blah. The way I look at it is that every team every year has trips at different times of the year. So imagine being a Western Conference team and having to take the travel that they have, where they have multiple trips like this, flying east 4 or 5 times a year for a week and a half. But there is some thought, I guess, in my head of, you're coming off of the holiday. Everybody's going to different parts of the country or different parts of the world to spend Christmas with family and friends or whatever. And then you have to reconvene in another city. Is it really that hard to kind of get this thing rolling on this trip as someone who's played in it right after the holidays? You're going to be away for another 5, 6, 7 days.
You know what, Anthony? I think when I just looking back at my days, which maybe a little less than 20 years ago, but I remember having some success on that trip. If I remember correctly, my teams.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, and again, but I mean, those were always fun. Listen, I'll tell you one thing: nobody on the road wants to lose on New Year's Eve. Trust me on that one. Trust me. When you're there and you're gonna go out, you want to win for New Year's Eve so you can go out and have a good time. So that was a really bad loss too. I know we do 2 morning afters, but that Calgary game, that was a rough one. Like, that just didn't sit well. The Flyers kept coming back, and it was one of those odd games in and of itself. But that's a team you want to beat. And then the momentum carried in. But you know what, Anthony, there's no reason that trip shouldn't be a successful one. I mean, if you're going to get out of the house as a player on a pro team, man, I can't think of a better day doing it than 2 days after Christmas. With all the hoopla and mess it goes, like, you should be able to go away on that road trip and play well. Like, it should be a good game to play and have success in this trip. Yeah, I don't understand it, because your only focus at that point should be the 4 games you're playing on the road. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not confusing. It really isn't. And again, I look at some of the teams, like, I know Vancouver's played really well, but the Flyers took them apart that night. Seattle, they're okay. They're just okay. They won.
They played good defensively. They played a good defensive game against the Flyers.
Yeah, and then Calgary, kind of like, I don't know what they are. They're not a playoff team, I don't think. I don't think they will be. And then Edmonton last night's just playing unbelievable right now.
Yeah, I think that the Calgary game is the one that bothered the coach more than any of the other ones. I think that I think you look at, he's happy with Vancouver. He'll take the point in Seattle because it's a back-to-back, right? And you got the travel's not a big deal to go from Vancouver to Seattle, but you just went, customs up, next day fly back, customs again, and then you got to go back to Canada, customs. I mean, it's a pain in the ass. Let's be honest.
Let me tell you though, guys. Like, I know what you're saying, Ant, and there's a couple stops and pops in the way, but I mean, listen, they make this travel. I've done it with these guys. I've done TV and radio, traveled on the plane for years. It's not hard. Like, there's a guy that comes on the plane for customs. He doesn't ask you shit. Like, you give him a passport and looks at it, and he just doesn't even look. It's just a formality. It's a complete formality at the customs both ways because the teams call them. But it is. There's still late nights, but it's not brutal. And like, there's nowhere more than an hour flight in there anywhere.
No. And I guess the only point I was trying to make with that, Bundy, is that you're a professional athlete and you get so used to routine and your body is so used to certain things that the customs is, while it's not, it's a piece of cake. And I've done that trip too on that team plane. And I agree. It's easy, far easier than what the general public has to go through. The difference to me, though, is it just takes a little bit more time. It's not like there's anything. It's not like you're waiting in some long line. You got to do all, but you're sitting on that plane for an extra half hour while they're doing the customs BS, right? And so that, to me, I think, sometimes it just kind of knocks you off just a little bit more. You don't get into the hotel till an hour later than usual, and then you got to get up a little bit earlier the next day. Maybe you don't get your nap at the proper time. Just little things that I think could throw you off. I'm not trying to use that as an excuse, because I agree with you. I think that this is a trip that you should do well on. Okay. And your teams used to do one. I mean, I know a lot of fans today think, oh my God, they do terrible on this. And it's because the last 10 years, the team has not been that great. But this team used to do really well on this trip year in and year out. So what changed? It's the talent of the players. It's, it's the group that you have. But I do want to give them at least a little bit of a benefit of the doubt that the schedule does change somewhat on your body. That's all. And one other thing somebody brought up, I think it was Chris Naffy. I'm trying to find the comment. I wanted to just address this. He says, how far in advance is Disney on Ice booked, and can the Flyers push back and request for home games be played at this time of year? Chris, they've had Disney on Ice in Philadelphia at the holidays for 30 some years, I want to say. I mean, whatever, it might even be longer. How far is it booked in advance? Forever.
You just opened the full can. You just opened the house of mouse on me. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, but I'm saying the answer is how far is it booked in advance is forever. They will never give it up because it is a huge moneymaker to have a kids show during the holidays when kids are not in school. So the answer to that is there will never be pushback. Nobody will ever trump that. The Flyers will never trump that. The Sixers, as long as they're in the building, will never trump that. No concert will ever trump that. Nothing will ever trump Disney on Ice.
There's one thing that will.
Yeah, what's that?
That new maybe 8,000 seat stadium. If they put that down there.
Yes,
that could be the answer to get that mess out of there. Because it's taken away from good quality post-Christmas hockey, boys, in Philadelphia.
I still can't.
I was reading something the other day there, Russ. I think you're going to be interested in doing this with little Dino and the boys there. Take him to go see the new live-action Mickey Mouse horror movie.
Buddy, I'm already on it.
Did you see how that happened?
This is great minds, man. This is great minds. I had this queued up. I was going to derail the show with this.
No, you did not. Dude, that is... Okay, I'm going to say it. Get ready. What in the fuck happened here?
27 minutes in, but there it is.
Wide world of sports is going on here.
So Bundy, what happens is there copyright laws in America give you 95 years. Once you copyright something, you have 95 years of where nothing can be done. So the original Mickey Mouse drawing, the one from the 1928 Steamboat Willie, first time we ever saw animated Mickey Mouse, yesterday, I think it was, or 2 days ago, went into the public domain. The copyright restriction on that animation is no longer there. So now it did not take people long. So they must have been planning this for a long time. Immediately, horror films on YouTube and everything with the original Mickey Mouse drawing are now available because you could do whatever the hell you want with it. It's in the public domain. That's what happened.
So I have some news for you though. So this was meant to be a video game called Infestation 88. And it has since, it was only announced, I think, yesterday, right? And is when it went public domain.
Yeah.
But they already have had to rename it because people were drawing comparisons to the Nazis. I say it like that because I don't think that YouTube will flag our video if I say Nazi. He was a Nazi man. But they said you can't. Apparently, 88 has something to do with the Nazis. I know about the number 7. Right, like there are issues with that, like with the SS. But anyway, 88 apparently is a thing, and so they've now renamed the game Infestation Origins. So you've got horror Mickey chasing after people in a game. So
live action. I read that yesterday. I could not believe that. It was the most bizarre thing. Let's put that on ice next Christmas, and we'll have the games available in 2 years from now.
I love this, though. This comment looks like the Flyers after the Disney on Ice roadie. So, looks like a mouse who enjoys Rammstein or Marilyn Manson, says David Waitman.
Yes, that's great.
So, anyway, that's certainly something, guys. I'm glad that, if nothing else, the public domain of the original Mickey Mouse is going to produce all kinds of insanity. You guys remember when they came out with the Winnie the Pooh movie, right?
Dude, it was rated the worst movie of the year. Like blood and water.
Yeah,
I saw like a thing. I was like, who makes this stuff?
We talked about that, remember? When it first happened?
Yeah, but did we talk about the thing that happened in the school with it or no?
But you know what, dude? The mask, the guy lifted, like there's a scene where the guy killed him and they could see the skin from below the mask. That's how badly like Bush League it was.
There was apparently, I think it was in Florida, because of course it was. There was a substitute teacher who showed the Winnie the Pooh horror slasher in an elementary school. And apparently the kids immediately were like, this isn't Winnie the Pooh. And the substitute was like, nah, it's fine. It's totally fine. I think like might have been hungover. Who knows? And then like Winnie the Pooh starts killing people. And that's going to be a lot of therapy. Those are going to be some therapy bills for that school. Let me tell you. So anyway, anything else you guys wanted to get to? I know that
World Juniors.
Yeah, this is the problem, right? Because we're a half hour in and it's like morning after 15-minute show, and then we sometimes lose doing a regular Snow the Goalie. But we can talk about World Juniors. Let's get that in. Because the leader in points at World Juniors is none other than future Flyer forward Cutter Gauthier. Leads the entire tournament in points, leads the entire tournament in assists. Gentlemen, are you impressed with what Cutter Gauthier has put together so far on a 2-point per game pace?
Russ, we doing this podcast in Boston all of a sudden? So far.
So far.
He's been
Did I say that, really?
You did. You do.
Yeah,
You're
so far.
impressed so he's done so far?
Let's start with the good. Let's start with the good of Gauthier, because there's something happening with
I'm going to tell you, I'm not impressed.
I'm with Anthony. I'm sorry, but he's dominated horrific teams.
Yeah, he's beat up on bad teams. Yeah, I'm not impressed. It's just like he's not even like, to me. I don't think he's even trying to score. Like, I think it's just kind of like, yeah, let me just pick up all these assists, which is fine. It's great. I'm not trying to say you should. There you go. Sean's saying it too. It's just like it's a playmaking thing with him, and it's just not been as impressive as I like. You want to see a guy dominate a game. You want to see a guy take. I'm not trying to say you have to score to dominate, but I mean, he's picking up a bunch of cheap assists against bad teams. And look, the World Junior Championship is a mess right now,
dude.
And that's what we want to get to.
I was telling Anthony the morning, I think before the last round robin game, it was 12:30, and I was just watching, like, seeing some scores. I think at that point, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 16 out of 22 games were decided by 4 goals or less in the tournament. Like 4 goals. That's not a tournament. It's an embarrassment. And I'm sorry, going out and scoring 5 goals or 5 points in a game against some shitty team that is not even qualified to even be in a tournament doesn't count to me. I look at what you've done in the big games and against the really, really good teams. It'll be interesting to see what happens next couple of games, but I haven't been like super impressed. I think the Flyers think he's a center. He's not a center. It might. I hope it doesn't take him long to figure that out. He's a winger.
There was a question here. Hold on, where's it at? It's not quite a conspiracy theory. Andrew Fawcett says Cutter's trying to prove he's a center. Like, could that be why he's not looking to shoot as much? Why he's looking to rack up the assists? Is he trying to prove that he's got more to his game? Because everybody knows that he's got a really good shot. But like, okay, let's play this one out. Let's do a little thought experiment. If you know you're going up against poor teams, as you guys said, and you do have the ability to kind of do what you want at will, if you're looking to try to catch the eye of the team that owns your rights, is there the chance that he's trying to become a facilitator to make that play, to make that pitch, more so than look to get his own shot?
No, I don't think that. I think that's a totally selfish mindset. Like, I don't think he's trying to.
No.
He's playing for the country. I mean, those guys are bought into playing for Team USA. They are the best. They should win this tournament. They are the best team in this tournament. They were the favorite coming in because of the talent on that team. I don't think that he's looking to do that. I do think that it's a possibility that he finds a little bit of success with it against a bad team and then continues to just try and do that because he's found success with it against bad teams. And it could come back to bite him a little bit. And, now that you're going to play in the semis and then, maybe the gold medal game, you got to be a little bit more careful because you're going to be playing better teams in those spots. But yeah, look, I think that there has been an effort both in college in Boston and then also now in the international play of really trying to have him be the number one center for these teams. And he's been okay at that level, at those levels. But I don't see it, like Bundy said, I don't see it transitioning well to the NHL. I don't think he's got that NHL skill set. I I think ultimately he is going to have to be a winger, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You can have who's the leading scorer in the NHL this year? It's not a center. It's a winger. Kucherov, right? He's the leading scorer in the NHL this year. If he turns out to be a player of that caliber, what the hell's the difference if he's playing wing or center? Right? I mean, of course you want center. I mean, you need centers to win in the NHL, but that doesn't mean you can't have stars on the wing. If he's a star player on the wing, it's okay. It's fine.
So they've got Finland tomorrow. Sweden plays what's Czech Republic calling itself?
Czechia.
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 Okay. And Germany takes on Norway. One of the teams that you did not hear me mention is Canada, because Canada got eliminated.
The toilet bowl is the last one you mentioned. That's the one who stays in. Some of the scores are just unbelievable. Like, if these teams can't play, then make a team tournament or 6-team tournament. I mean, looking at the scores, I'm looking at them now. It's ridiculous. I mean, you look at the American scores. They've won games 11-3 and 10-2. When did the Slovaks get so bad they're losing 10-2? And then they beat Latvia 7-2 and Switzerland 11-3. So here's something to look at. In the 2 games where the Americans won at Norway, which is 4-1, and Czechia, which is a shootout win 4-3, Gauthier had 1 point in those 2 games. In the blowout games, he's filled the score sheet.
Yeah.
And this is a tournament.
So what you're saying is he's Morgan Frost.
Yeah, you're looking at it. If you're looking at players in a tournament like this, usually the guys that seem to light it up end up having like pretty good careers. I just don't know. He almost looks sometimes like he looks like a confused player sometimes. Makes good passes, but I just think at this level, I don't think he's a center. And I don't think he's physical enough to be a center, to be honest with you.
Brandon asks if it's a disservice for his development to play him at center.
No, I don't think it's a disservice to his development at this point. I think that, you're trying to see what you have. You're trying to see what a guy is. I mean, he's a kid. I mean, he's 19 years old, right? I mean, you're still trying to figure out what he's going to be for a 10 to 15 year career, right? I mean, you want to see what he can do. So, at this level, it's totally fine to see if he can play that position. But I think you'll learn quickly that he's not going to be that at the NHL level. And so therefore it would be a disservice to try and fit him into that position playing in the NHL and let it go on and on and on. That would be a disservice to his development. But I think right now, no, it does not. It's not a disservice. It's just trying to figure out what he is.
So I want to get to the team that got eliminated, because it happened to be off the skate and stick of a Flyers player, a recent Flyers draft pick. I'm pretty sure the sound of that goal hitting made the sound bonk. So Oliver Bonk, by no fault of his own, puck goes off of him, goes past the goalie. Canada knocked out of World Juniors. Bundy, how has this resonated in Canada? How are the Canadians feeling?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. If the Canadians are too upset about this, I don't know. Sorry. There's other things going on in the world.
I thought there was going to be like a much more fiery take at it.
Get fucking over it. They're 18-year-olds.
You were more worked up about
the way
winter
Canada hangs
tires.
their hat on like the World Juniors after Christmas. It's unbelievable. It's like a national, like, hey, the World Junior games at 3:00 today, and you're like, all right, great. If it's on, I'll watch it. Up there, it's like some kind of like a fanatical religion, the World Junior tournament. I don't get it, but whatever. You know what? Bonk, he's a good player. Like, he's young still too. Defenseman, you don't know what that's going to be for a couple of years after they even get to the NHL. But unfortunately, shit like that happens, With the worst part, though, is the amount of time left was like 11 seconds. That's not good.
Yeah,
it happens though. It happens.
Bundy, what is more overrated in Canada, the World Juniors tournament or winter tires?
Absolutely, the World Junior tournament
Wow.
is more overhyped than winter tires. Winter tires is not talked about, Russ. It's just baked into the cake up there. It's like death and taxes and winter tires. That's how it works in Canada.
But
it's like if you like, I don't want to use the name again, but like if they had like tire Nazis, like remember the soup Nazi in Friends?
Yeah.
This is or Seinfeld. This is the same thing. There's people that go around, I think, in the middle of the night, like it could be 25 below, and they're like, they got like a little spyglass, and like, yes, winter tire. Then they go to the next one. No, snow. It's summer tire. Write it down. Write the address. We'll call the government.
I actually clipped that out. I was going to do something with it on YouTube.
Hey, by the way, I got something. I got something Canada related.
You almost said Canada related. What's
well,
up?
Canadian that we could talk about. Did you see that they are? Tim Hortons is looking to expand further in our area.
Mm-hmm.
They are looking to go further in the Philadelphia market, not just the one location that's over by you, Bundy, but they want to really spread around the Philadelphia area.
Future Snow the Goalie sponsor.
There's franchise opportunities, and so it's like, oh yes, we need to get.
Do you think Snow the Goalie could we build a Tim Hortons with crowdfunding and share it with our people? A Snow the Goalie Tim Horton, crowdfunded Tim Horton.
I love it.
100%,
1,000%. 1,000%. I think it's a great idea.
Without question.
I tell you what, I'd like to do. Here's a good idea. If it's cold in the winter, we should have the Snow the Goalie Tim Horton truck. You know, like a food truck serving coffee and donuts in the parking lot. That's how you
Can we get Tim Hortons to show up to the tailgate in March?
If Tim Hortons ain't listening to this is what Tim Hortons puts all their money into hockey up there.
Yeah.
Right? May as well put in some hockey where people actually have fun. So give us a call. We're interested in a franchise, Tim Hortons, and so are our fans, because we need hot coffee in our parking lot here. And I think a Snow the Goalie food truck would be unbelievable. Give me a call.
I love it.
Actually, call Russ. He handles it.
Yeah,
that's right.
Tim Hortons.
All right, here. I've got it. You ready?
Clip it up, Russ.
The franchisee fee, please hold. The franchisee fee for Tim Hortons starts at $50,000 for a 20-year term with a 6% royalty fee and 4% advertising fee. Although the ideal franchisee net worth depends on the number of locations and the operator signs on for a single location, the brand looks for someone with $1 million net worth and $500,000 in liquid assets. Well, we are partnered with the Flyers, and I'm pretty sure they have $1 million in net worth, and they have $500,000 in liquid assets.
We are a treasure, and I have no idea what it's worth, but it's worth a lot fucking more than $1 million, boy.
Okay, let me pitch this. All right, let's do this. So we're gonna get on the phone with the Flyers after this. Let's pitch this for a second. Wells Fargo Center. What could Wells Fargo Center desperately use? Tim Hortons coffee, without question, right?
Did they have it in there before?
I don't think so. They had Tim's. Did they have Tim's?
I don't think so. Did they have a Dunkin' at some point? Am I crazy?
No, I thought Peter Luco brought Tim Horton into the building because
I remember. Well, Luco was big on the Tim Hortons.
Yeah, and I thought they had a place. If anybody remembers a Tim Horton in the building, let us know. I thought there was, but we'll see.
But anyway, we should be the ones at the forefront of this.
Yeah, we need to get moving on it.
Hey, last thing here, really quick, and this goes back really quickly to World Juniors, and I saw the comment. I think one of you brought it up on the screen, but the notion that the World Junior tournament isn't legit without Russia involved.
It isn't.
It was Steven Grosso who said that. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, it's not
100%. 100%.
Changes everything. Changes everything.
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, they're the number 3 power with U.S. and Canada, and then Sweden and Finland are 4 and 5. There's nothing else beyond those 5 teams. I mean, Czechia is decent, and Slovakia used to be decent. So you had 6 or 7 teams, but how do you sit there and determine the best team in the world in the sport when you don't have one of the top 3 countries in the world in the sport? I don't know how you do it.
All right,
and that's why the in-season tournament that the league wants to have, that they keep talking about, this 4 teams, U.S., Canada, Sweden, Finland, and the NHL in 25, like that's BS too. Like, what's the purpose of it? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
We were having a really good episode until Anthony, and we appreciate you tuning into the show. But Anthony Louis brought this up, and so real quick. Don't shoot the messenger, but I'd love to hear the panel's thoughts on the Gaudreau rumors. If Columbus retains enough salary, say 20%, and it doesn't cost a lot, would you guys be interested? All right, guys, I want your honest opinion. It could be like one or two words. Honest. We're going to count it down. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
No.
Fuck no.
No.
You know what? If I had a fucking men's league team I was starting, I would avoid that signing too. Just not good enough for that on the defensive side of the puck. I need more out of my guys in the zone.
Oh, man. That's
you know what?
Not
I'm just going to say this, all right? Let me just be, because we are really honest. I asked a very, very high-end Flyers employee about these two names. I was actually embarrassed asking because I already knew the answer. I got laughed at. Not laughed at, laughed with, because I was saying the same thing. I'm not like a little one, but like high-end guy. If they did that, it would be a complete reversal of what they're doing. It would be insane. So no, the answer is no. And if something did happen like that, I would be like, okay, we'll go with the flow. But no, I don't think those moves can happen. That is going back to everything that we didn't want. That's a return to insanity if that happened. No. Hard fuck no.
Yeah.
Right.
Russ, I did want to pull this up real quick just because it's about the trip and we
go ahead.
And we, sabotage your ad for it. Do you know what section the tickets are for the March trip? If I come, I would probably just be for the game, as I've got friends and family in the area I'd meet up with. Andrew, I will tell you that you could reach out to the guys at phillysportstrips.com. They have all the details there. There are ways of doing the trip on your own and just join us for, the games, the Phillies game and the Flyers game. And even be welcome in to come to our welcome party and stuff like that. You can still do all the other stuff without actually booking the trip with them. You can still do it. I mean, there are possibilities. You just got to go through them. They handle all that stuff. They book they get the tickets. They get everything.
So it is better to go through the trip.
It is. You'll save more money in going through the trip. But if you have people to stay with down there, like you could probably, I don't know where you're coming from, Andrew, but you could do if you have people to stay with, that's fine. You could but get the flight through them. You'll save money. Getting the flight through them with the tickets combined, you'll still save on your, instead of trying to do everything separately. Because if you just have to buy the ticket separately, you're going to pay a higher price.
Or Anthony's got an Airbnb that I'm sure he could probably find a room for you too. Just being the hospitable guest he is and everything, just thinking outside the box. Yeah,
that's nice. And yes, my Airbnb is in a great location. It is just across. It's actually in Clearwater, not Clearwater Beach, but it's just on the bay. So it's right before the bridge that goes over into Clearwater Beach. So it's a really good spot.
I have really good news for you guys. I did some investigative work here, okay? Because that's what this show is all about. And I did find out that there was a Tim Hortons in Wells Fargo Center.
I knew it.
And it was back in 2012 is when it arrived at Wells Fargo Center. Now, how long it remained there, I don't know. But I found an old article from Philly Eater that it was part of the 2012 new rollout. So let's see. That year, it was Tim Hortons and Melissa's Farm to Fan Healthy Bites. So I don't know what that is, but Tim Hortons was in Wells Fargo Center 11 years ago.
Good.
So, or 12. I guess now we're at almost.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I remember it's funny that you mentioned Luco, because I remember Luco talking to all of us about
there were four of them, by the way.
Trying
104,
to bring
110, 116, 122.
Trying to bring Tim Hortons into the area as like an investor. Like he was going to do it on his own. And so that makes a lot of sense that he was trying to get him in. So
maybe we need to get we'll get Tim Luco in on this. We'll each throw some money in. We'll crowdfund some of it from the Snow the Goalie listeners. We'll get Peter Luco in on the new Tim Hortons location. Where do we want to put it?
Where should it go?
Yeah, like let's thought experiment this. Where should the Tim Hortons that we, along with Peter Luco and Dan Hilferty from his own money, and the Snow the Goalie listeners are all going to contribute. Like, where are we putting this Tim Hortons at?
Can we put it at 10th and Market? I hear there's some space available there.
If we do a big enough one, I've actually been told that you could build a stadium size, like an arena size Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons, yeah. That's where we go. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
As Andrew says, we need the Snow the Goalie Tim Hortons sportsbook.
Yes.
Right? We'll build that. We'll build that whole thing.
All right, I think we've done enough here.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with how today's episode has gone. We're 51 minutes in. This kind of took the place of the regular Snow the Goalie podcast for the week, which we're going to figure out at some point. And this new year, we are
keep in mind though, we have a very busy January.
We do. It's insanity. We are going to see so much of each other.
Yeah, we're going to spend more time with you boys than I am with my family.
Lucky you.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
We got a
lot of
hockey
home
game
games.
tomorrow night, boys. Wells Fargo
We have
Center,
9 home games, right, for the Flyers in the month of January, which means 9 episodes of the Press Row Show. So everybody buckle up, baby. This is gonna be something.
Yeah.
We'll be down
crazy.
there for
it's every other day. It's basically we get every other day, then we get a week off, and then it's every other day again. It's nuts in January.
Yep. So, I think that's probably it. So we've got a Flyers home game on Thursday. We will drop our predictions tomorrow before the game. If you end up down at Wells Fargo Center, make sure you come find us. You can take the elevator by section 121 or 221, as Anthony likes to point out. Take it all the way up to the sportsbook. Tell them you're going to the sportsbook. Lie. And as soon as you get off the elevator and you come around the corner, we'll be right there. We're right by the Oregon. It's a great time. We'll stand, watch the game. I think, guys, we have the best vantage point in the entire arena. I'm not kidding. Like, I think that we have the best looking area. So it's a great spot to watch the game. Come hang out with us for a bit. We'll be up there. We get there, and usually you and I are set up around 6 o'clock or so for a 7 o'clock start.
Joey Heron's asking if Patrick Sharp's still going to do a pregame with us this month, and he will. It's just a matter of when he's back in town. I just got to I'll find that out tomorrow night when we're down there, see when he's back, and then he'll come on. He's agreed to come on. And
I get my old buddy Leclerc on there too.
Yeah, you got to get Johnny on. Got to get him on. So
I love this because I said we're by the Oregon, and HC said by whose Oregon, and that's probably a good place to end for today.
Yeah,
we've had an Oregon joke already, but they never get old. It's
they
like a
do.
two-page joke.
Are we going to the outdoor game? Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
We'll be there.
There's also a trip involved with Philly Sports Trips with that. Our friends over at Flyers Nation are running that one. We're gonna stop by their little tailgate in advance, and we're trying to set up a spot to do a press row show from there. So we're hopefully have more details on that soon.
Yep. All right, that's probably a great place to stop. So everybody, make sure you do us a favor. If you're watching on YouTube, whether it's live or after the fact, make sure that you hit the like button, and preferably subscribe to the YouTube channel. It continues to grow, which is great. I would like to try to get to like 3,000 followers here in the next month or so. 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. I think that'd be a really great thing for us to pull off. We see these numbers every time we have an episode. And we see the unique visitors and everything, and I think we can get to 3,000. But in the meantime, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you get notified whenever we go live with an episode of Snow the Goalie, the morning after, or the Press Row Show. We have a few other things coming down the pipe, and I can tell you that we're going to start. The YouTube channel is going to get interesting. I'm just going to say that there's some interesting stuff that we're going to do with some of the content that we've done over the years that's going to start to pop up on YouTube. So it'll certainly be worth subscribing to. And if you're a podcast fan and you prefer to listen to the podcast, remember, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Pandora, wherever you get your podcasts. And you can head over to shop.snowthegoalie.com for all of your merchandise. A lot of stuff there with more designs to come to start 2024. We had a great year, a great few months since launching the store. So head over to shop.snowthegoalie.com. And guys, I will see you tomorrow night We'll
Good
see
morning,
all of
guys.
these wonderful viewers and listeners of the show on Thursday night, 7 o'clock start, which means we'll be doing a 6:30 press row show ahead of the game. So make sure you tune into that. So for Ant on Twitter at AntSanPhilly, for Bundy at Therien6, I'm Russ at Joy on Broad. Thank you so much for listening to, or maybe even watching, Snow the Goalie's morning after. Flyers lose to the Oilers. They'll bounce back on Thursday. Have a fantastic day, everybody. We will talk to you very soon. And oh, by the way.
Oh, look at you sneaking this in last minute.
By the way, Bundy leads the way in the predictions.
You're such a child.
I'm showing you. Bundy leads the way in the predictions. 20 points.
Waited to put it up because you didn't want to talk about it.
20 points. I've got 18. Anthony, who's talked a very big game, 17 points. Do you see all that red, Bundy?
That's
Do you see that?
I couldn't get a game right for 2 weeks.
Bundy, do you see, like that? That's pretty remarkable. Ant talks a lot about being able to prognosticate these things, but
no, you know what this has become.
Only 17 points. 17 points.
Bundy, you know what this has become? You know what this is? This is like when you do the NCAA tournament pool, right?
Yes,
at work.
He only shows it when it's good.
Right. Well, no, but it's what. Yeah,
no, he's going to say that I like the jerseys or something. Like
1,000%. You and I are sitting there doing some like real hard analysis, thinking about the game, what matches up well with this team and whatever. And Russ is picking by his favorite colors.
Hey, Ant, remind me. Hey, Ant, if you look at this really quick, remind me who's ahead of you.
That's what I thought. Intern Andrew is really the guy that's we got to be careful.
I will tell you. So I did a more detailed breakdown of this. Intern Andrew is 9-9 on the season. He's 500. Bundy is 17-17. He is also 500. So if Intern Andrew keeps up his pace, it'll only be a matter of time before he passes both of us. And Bundy will win this thing going away. But
he's on fire. He's on fire.
Also, I do want to point out on this graphic, because I thought for the longest time that I was just getting lucky with a lot of perfect scores, and that was the only contribution. But like I will point out, Ant, you have 2 perfect scores on the season. Bundy has 3, and I picked him my 3rd last night. But like nobody has run away with a horrific record and gotten like 5 perfect scores to keep them in the battle here. So
I mean, nobody's the Islanders right now.
That's exactly right.
Have you seen that, by the way, Bundy? That they have that the Islanders have already 10 overtime or shootout losses already.
That's unbelievable.
Not even half the season. They have 10 already. Yeah. They're on pace for like 21 or 22.
Tell you why
it's insane.
You lose that many points when it goes out. But it's funny too. Just looking at the standings, I just was kind of creeping. So important to keep getting these wins, because the Flyers, like, they lose another one, some couple teams win, they find themselves right down at 8 or 9 really fast.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to get these wins and why the points are so important right now. But Andrew looks like Wade Allison.
No, I agree. And it's funny. I was thinking about it too, but I was looking at the standing and I was saying, look, I don't think they're going to lose to Columbus on Thursday. I think they'll be okay. But if they did, they could be out of a playoff spot by Thursday.
Yeah, that's how quick it can happen.
That's how fast it happens, right? I mean, so if they were to lose on Thursday, they could be out of a playoff spot. I don't think they will. So I think they'll still be in one. But at the same time, you lose something, they've lost 5 out of 6. If you lose 6 out of 7, boom.
By the way, as we roll out here, HC is correct. And stop using advanced analytics to make your picks. Use the eye test like Russ.
Yeah, here's Russ's eye test.
All right, bye, everybody.
We actually have